In my earlier video on Bhasa, we discussed the play Swapnavasav at length. As promised, we will discuss another of his marvelous compositions called Pratima Natakam here. Pratima means a statue, so the title of the play literally means the play of the statues. Pratima Natakam is based on the well-known story of Ramayana. The play begins with the abandonment of Ram's Rajyabhishek, that is, his consecration, and ends in his return from 14 years of exile after defeating the demon Ravan. Though the story of Ramayana is all too well known, the genius of the poet lies in the way he presents it. And Bhasa is a master of screenplay. In this play, Bhas has ingeniously scripted a scene of gallery of sculptures. It is so beautifully crafted that the title of the play taking its name from this scene is very well justified. In this act, Bharat returns to Ayodhya. He is unaware of his father's untimely death as well as his elder brother's exile on demand of his mother Kaikei. On the boundary of Ayodhya, Bharat enters a sculpture gallery, mistaking it to be a temple. The sculpture gallery has installed statues of all former rulers of Ikshwaku clan. Here, when Bharat sees the statue of Dasaratha, he realizes that his father is no more. He feels even more depressed on knowing the role of his mother, Kaikei, in all that has happened. Thus, through this scene, Bharat is made aware of the triple banes, that is, his father's death, his brother's exile, and his mother's lust for power. Another beautiful example of Bhasa's Ayojan or screenplay is in the very first act. On orders of Dasaratha, preparations for Ram's consecration have begun. One of Sita's maids is carrying costumes of a Bhag dress called Valkala Vastra from the royal theatre. Out of curiosity, Sita tries them on. When Ram comes to meet her, he too demands for another Bhag dress for himself. As Bhag dresses are worn by those who dwell in forests, this scene becomes an indication for upcoming exile for both Ram and Sita. Many a time we blame Ram for falling prey to the attraction of a golden deer which led to Sita's abduction. But Bhasa's Ayojan in this play regarding this incident is quite ingenious. In the fifth act, 1 year has passed since King Dasaratha died. Ram is anxious regarding the ancestral rites to be performed in his memory. Sita consoles him by saying that Bharat will perform the rites in royal palace to the satisfaction of his ancestor. But Ram wants to do it in a manner that suits the aura of Dasaratha as well as Ram. Just then Ravan appears in guise of an ascetic and mentions that he is proficient in all rituals, including memorial rites. He convinces Ram that the flesh of a golden deer, which is found in Himalayas, would definitely satisfy his royal ancestor. When Ram asks Sita to prepare to leave for Himalayas, Ravan magically produces the illusion of a golden deer and Ram instantly runs off to chase it. Lakshman has been already sent by Ram to meet the chief of hermitage. Thus, Ravan finds an opportunity to abduct Sita. Due to such arrangement of events, there is no mention of Lakshmana Rekha nor any blame game between the brothers as to why Sita was left alone. In fact, Bhas has even spared Sita of any Agni Pariksha by always describing her as pure and chaste throughout the play. In Act 7, after his victory over Ravan, Ram says, Samudita bala viryam Ravanam nashayitva Jagati guna samagram prapya Sitam vishuddham Vachanamapi gurunam antashah purayitva Munijana vanavasam praptavan asmi bhuyaha. I have slain Ravan, who was a host of valor and strength, regained Sita, ever pure, endowed with all virtues in the world. And now After fulfilling my parents' words fully, I have returned to the hermitage of saints. Bhas treats all his characters as humans and does not depict them as heroes or villains. In fact, many of his plays redeem the traditional villains of any guilt, may it be Duryodhan in Urubhangam or Karna in Karnabharam. Bhas is successful in generating sympathy towards these characters in the minds of the audience. Pratima Natakam is no exception. Here too, Bhas has redeemed Kaikei of her guilt by putting forth an argument that she did what she did in consultation with the gurus and counselors of the family in order to save Ram's life and future of Ayodhya. She explains to Bharat that Dashrath was cursed to die due to Putra Viyog, that is, due to separation from his son. Had Ram been consecrated as planned, separation would only mean untimely death of Ram. The only option left was to put Ram in exile. Unsatisfied with above explanation, Bharat asks two pertinent questions. Why did you not exile Bharata instead of Ram? To this, Kaikei replies that Bharat mostly lived at his maternal home and was used to being away from Dasaratha. His separation would not have caused any major distress to Dasaratha. The second question Bharat asked, why you exiled Ram for 14 years? To this, Kaikei replied that she meant to say only 14 days, but due to anxiety and confusion of mind, she ended up saying 14 years. The audience may or may not accept above justifications, but Bhas has been able to bring nobility to Kaikei's character and prove the age-old saying that Kuputro jayeta kvachidapi kumata na bhavati. There may be an evil son sometimes, but there is never an evil mother. Nobility of characters is the mainstay of Bhas's writing. Let us see how Bhas has described his characters of the play. Ram. The following verse brings out the quality of Ram of being an obedient son. Arabdhe patahe sthite gurujane bhadrasane langhite skandhocharana namyamana vadana prachotitoye ghate राज्यां हूय विसर्जिते मयि जनो धैर्येण मे विस्मितः स्वः पुत्रः कुरुते पितुर्यदि वचः कस्तत्र भो विस्मयः. A roll was beaten on the drums. The elders were in readiness. I was on the sacred chair and shoulder high the vessel whose water was to trickle over a face downcast. The king summoned me and sent me away. The people are amazed at my patience. But is it a marvel if a son obeys the words of his own father? Ram continues by saying, when the king dismissed me, my mind sighed a breath of relief. Happily, I am still the same Ram, and the king is the king. When Ram is informed that the consecration was interrupted on the demand of Queen Kaikei, Ram sees advantages in this situation as well. He says, Vanadamana nivrittim parthivasyeva tavan mama pitrupara bala bhava saeva navanrupati vimarshe nasti shanka prajanam athachana paribhogair vanchita bhrataro me. The king has been deterred from retiring to the forest. I am still a minor and subject of the king as before. The people are not troubled with the question of a new ruler. Moreover, my brothers are not deprived of their enjoyments. Ram is a devoted husband. Ram and Sita are true soulmates. In the first act, when Sita tries out the bark dress and Ram demands for another, Sita restrains him from wearing the same, fearing bad luck. To which Ram points out, Ma swayam manyam utpadya parihase visheshatah sharirardhena me purvam abadhahi yada tvaya. This means, Don't restrain me with your anger, for half of my body was already adorned with the bark dress when you put on yours. Whenever Ram is troubled, he shares his feelings with Sita, and Sita too responds appropriately. Realizing this, Ram says, Alpam tulya shilani dvandvani srujyante. That is, rarely are couples born with natures so alike. When in exile, Ram and Sita are staying in forest as forest dwellers, doing everyday chores themselves. He observes his wife very closely and is aware of her hardships. He observes, Yosyaha kara shramyati darpanepi sanaitik hedam kalasham vahantyaha kashtam vanam stri janasau kumaryam samam latabhih kathini karoti. That hand of hers that used to earlier get tired from holding a mirror now does not feel the fatigue of carrying a water pitcher. Alas, the forest makes delicate ladies as hard as creepers. Ram is a kind and caring brother. He has not developed any jealousy towards Bharata, nor does he blame him for any wrongdoing. In fact, he is appreciative of Bharata when he meets him by saying, Tam chintayami nrupatim suralokayatam yena yamatmaja vishishta gunona drushtaha idrup vidham gunanidhim samavapya loke dhigbho vidher yadi balam purushottameshu. I am thinking of the king that passed to the world of the gods and never saw the splendid qualities of this son of his. Ah, fie upon fate if it can overcome the best of men after getting such a son, a treasure house of virtues. Sita. Sita is a very humble and caring princess. On hearing the news of her husband's consecration, her first reaction was, Api tataha kushali? That is father well? Indicating that she was concerned about her father-in-law's health rather than being overjoyed for her husband's promotion. When Ram informs her about the consecration being cancelled, she feels glad that the king remained the king and her lord remained her lord. These feelings were similar to what Ram had felt himself. Ram and Sita are soulmates. She is a devoted wife. When Ram tells her about 14 years of exile in forest, she happily decides to accompany him. When Ram reminds her that it would mean staying in a forest, she says that it will be her palace. When Ram reminds her of her duties to attend upon his parents, she seeks forgiveness from gods for not being able to fulfill her duty. When Ram asks Lakshman to dissuade Sita from following him, Lakshman points out, Anucharati shashankam rahu doshe pitara patati cha vana vrukshe yati bhumim lata cha tyajati na cha karenuhu pankalagnam gajendram vrajatu charatu dharmam bhartrunatha hi naryaha. Moonlight follows the moon even in eclipse. When the forest tree falls, the creeper too lies on the ground. The lord of elephants is not deserted by his mate, though covered throughout with mud. Let her make her pilgrimage practicing virtue, for husbands are the lords of their women. Lakshman. Lakshman is a devoted brother to Ram. He is the angriest when the consecration is cancelled. He questions Ram's merciful nature and questions, Idani sandeha kim kshama nirmanasvita? That is, do you still doubt that mercy equals to cowardice? When Ram calms him down, Lakshman insists on sharing his destiny of exile by accompanying him to forest for 14 years. When Ram tries to dissuade him, he says, निर्योगाद् भूषणान् माल्यात् सर्वेभ्योर्धं प्रदाय मे चीरम एकाकिना बद्धम चीरे खलु असि मत्सरी. Of decorations, jewels and garlands, you have given half of all those to me. But now you put on all bark yourself. For a bark dress, you indeed are selfish. Bharata. Bharata is a humble and righteous prince who is very devoted towards his elder brother Rama. This play has focused a lot on Bharata's character to redeem him of any accusations of lust of power. The love between the brothers is beautifully brought out by Bhasa through following verse. Ayodhyam atavi bhutam pitra bhratra cha varjitam pipasartonudhavami kshinatoyam nadimiva. I find Ayodhya is a wilderness, abandoned by my father and my brother. I am like a man tormented with thirst, who hastens to a stream and finds it all dried up. When Bharata comes to know of the role of his mother Kaikei in all that has happened, he is enraged, and when he comes face to face with all three mothers, he says, Mama matushcha madhyastatvam na shobhase Ganga yamunayor madhye kunadiva praveshita. O Kaikei, you don't look good standing between this mother of mine, that is Kaushalya, and this mother of mine, that is Sumitra. Just like it doesn't look good when a dirty stream enters the Ganga and the Yamuna. When the ministers insist Bharata to get consecrated, he refuses and leaves immediately towards forest to meet Ram. He says, Tatra yasyami yatrasau vartate lakshmana priyah nayodhyatam vinayodhya sayodhya yatra raghavah. I am going where Lakshmana's beloved brother abides. Without him, Ayodhya is not Ayodhya. For Ayodhya can only be where the scion of Raghu lives. The dialogue between Ram and Bharata, where both insist on each other to ascend the throne, gives us the insight of foundation of Indian values of family and culture. When Bharata meets Ram in the forest, he tries his best to convince Ram to be allowed to stay with him by saying, Iha sthasyami dehena tatra sthasyami karmana namnaiva bhavato rajyam krutaraksham bhavishyati. That is, I will stay here in body and there in action. Your very name will protect the realm. Ram dissuades him from doing so and asks him not to bring bad name to the family which is known to keep its word, as we popularly know it as Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Aayi, Pran Jaye Par Bachan Na Jaye. Moreover, Ram says, Pitur niyogad ahamagato vanam na vatsa darpan na bhayan na vibhramat kulam chanah sat sadhanam bravimite katham bhavan neecha pathe pravartate. I came to the forest on the orders of my father, not due to pride, fear, or any confusion. Our house, I tell you, keeps its word. Will you then start on a lower path? As Bharata realizes that Ram will not return, he asks him for a favor. Bharata says, Padopabhukte tava paduke me ete prayachha pranataya murdhana yavad bhavane shatikarya siddhim tavad bhavishyami anayor vidheyaha. Kindly give the custody of your sandals to me who bows before you. I shall be their vassal till you come back after fulfilling your duty. To above request, Ram responds by saying, Suchirena pi kalena yashah kinchin mayarjitam achirenaiva kalena bharatenadya sanchitam. Ah, what little glory I had attained at length, Bharata has acquired it all today in no time at all. As Ram accepts Bharata's request, Bharata is overjoyed and expresses himself as Shraddheya swajanasya paura ruchito lokasya drushtikshamaha swargasthasya naradhipasya daita sheelanvitoham sutaha bhratrinam gunasheelanam bahumatah kirte mahat bhajanam संवादेषु कथाश्रयो गुणवतां labdha priyanam priyaha. Now my kin can trust me. Now can the people love me, and I can hold my head up in the world. Now I am the virtuous and beloved son of the deceased monarch. I am honored by my excellent brothers, a vessel of great glory, talked of in the conversation of good men, an object of affection to all who obtain what they desire. Let us now see how Bhas has described Dasaratha and his pain when he is separated from Ram. Dasaratha. Dasaratha is a noble king who kept his word at the stake of his own life. His remorse for sending Ram to Vanvas is so grave that he curses his destiny such. Anapatya vayam Ramah putronyasya mahipatehe Vane vyaghri cha Kaikei Tvaya kim na krutam trayam. Ah, wretched fate, why did you not establish 3 decrees? 1. Myself to have no children, Ram to be son of another monarch, and Kaikei to be a tigress in jungle. When the chariot that dropped Ram, Lakshman and Sita to the forest came back empty, Dashrath was devastated. He sighed, Shunya prapto yadi ratho bhagno mama manorathaha Nunam Dashratham netum kalena preshito rathaha. Alas, alas, if the chariot has come back empty, my heart has been broken. It feels like the death has sent this chariot to fetch me, the wretched Dasaratha. Remembering Ram, Lakshman and Sita, the king says, Dhanya khalu vane vatas tataka parivartinaha vicharantam vane ramam yes krishanti yatha sukham. Blessed indeed are the breezes in the forest that circle around the lakes, touching Ram as they please, as he wanders in the woods. The remorse of Ram's departure is not limited to Dasharatha's grieving. The entire praja or subject are experiencing great sorrow. The poet depicts this in the following verse as Nagendra yavasa bhilasha vimukhaha sasre kshana vajino Hesha shunya mukha savruddha vanita balascha paura janaha Tyakta hara kathaha sudina vadanaha krandanta uchchair disha Ramo yati aya sadara sahajas tameva pashyantyami. Lordly elephants are off their feet. The chargers stand without a neigh, tears in their eyes. The city folk, old, young, men and women, have no thought of food or talk. With mournful faces, they cry aloud and gaze the way that Ram goes with his wife and brother. Bhas is not only the master of words, but also of silence. He uses silence as a powerful tool to convey deep emotions. For example, when Sumantra drives Ram, Lakshman and Sita in the forest and returns to meet King Dasaratha, Dasaratha asks if they said anything after getting dropped. To this, Sumantra replies as follows. Kamapyartham chiram dhyatva vaktum sphuritadharaha bashpastambhita kanthatvad anuktaiva vanam gataha. Long they pondered something they would say, and their lips trembled with the words. But their throats were paralyzed with tears, and they went off in the forest without a word. Well, no volume of words could ever convey the deep emotions as described above. Just as Bhas is expert in Rasa Nishpadan, that is creating deep sentiments in heart of audience, he is also an expert in using alankaras or figures of speech. However, the good thing is that his usage of figures of speech enhance the flow of the play and don't look artificially created facades for the sake of expressing his genius. Let us see a couple of beautiful similes used by the poet. When Dasaratha is not able to see Ram, Lakshmana and Sita, he sighs, Surya iva gato Ramaha Suryam divasa iva Lakshmano nugataha. Surya divasavasane chhayeva na drushyate Sita. Like the sun, Ram has gone. Lakshman has followed him as the day that follows the sun. Sita has disappeared like a shadow that disappears when sun and the day are gone. In Act 6, when Ravan abducts Sita and is flying off in his Pushpak Viman, the poet describes Ravan in metaphors and Sita in a simile as follows. Iyam hi neelot paladama varchasa mrinal shukrojvala daunshtra hasina nishacharendrena nishardhacharina mrugiva Sita paribhuya niyate. Here is Sita being overpowered and haled away by one who is dark in the hue as a garland of blue lotuses, who laughs with teeth gleaming white like lotus stalks. She is like a gazelle taken by the lord of nocturnal roamers wandering at the dead of the night. When Jatayu tries to help Sita by fighting Ravan midair, his valor is described as follows. Krutva svavirya sadrusham paramam prayatnam krida mayuramiva shatrum achintayitva deeptam nishacharapate ravadhuya tejo nagendra bhagna vanavruksha ivavasannaha. After a supreme effort worthy of his valor, reckoning no more of a foe than of a pet peacock, and shaking the bright glory of the goblin king, he has come to grief like a forest tree crushed by a lordly tusker. After Ram killed Ravan and returned to the hermitage, Bharata came to meet him along with the queens and priests. He announced, Taistaihi pravruddha vishayair vishamair vimuktam meghair vimukta mamalam sharadiva somam arya sahayam mahamadya gurum didrukshuhu praptosmi tushtarudaya swajananubadhaha. I have come today with a contented mind, followed by my people, intent to see my elder brother with his noble spouse released from the dire and prolonged calamities, like the clear autumnal moon released from clouds. After his consecration in forest, it is announced to the world that Hatva ripu prabhavam apratimam tamaugham Suryondhakaramiva shauryamayir mayukhaihi Sitam avapya sakala shubhavarjaniyam Ramo mahim jayati sarvajanabhiramaha. As the sun destroys all darkness with his mighty rays, so has Ram destroyed the murky mass of enemies. Having rescued Sita free from every harm, Ram, the delight of all mankind, is victor of the earth. Shatrughna, the fourth brother, also expresses his delight thus. Etadarya kulam me nashtakalmasham punah prakashatam yati somasyevo daye jagat. That is, by this consecration of my older brother, My house has lost its stain. The world shines bright again, just like the rising of the moon. Thus, Bhas has presented the old story of Ramayana through a fresh perspective, bringing out ideals of relationships. Bhas has always endorsed values of love, duty, loyalty, and humility in his plays, and Ramayana provides him a platform to depict these values to the highest level. In the end, I would like to quote Bhasa's Bharata Vakya of Pratima Natakam, where he says, Yatha Ramascha Janakya Bandhubhishcha Samagataha Tatha Lakshmya Samayukto Raja Bhumim Prashastunaha. That is, as Ram was united with Sita and his kins, so may our king rule the earth in conjunction with Goddess of Beauty and Prosperity. I extend this prayer for all of us by saying that just as Ram was united with Sita and his kins, may all of us too stay united with our families and be blessed with health, wealth, and happiness.